What's up, y'all? We back at it with more X-Men 97, man. Season 2, episode 7. Hey, this was a really good episode just on the strength where it was a character that I just really disliked and hated in this series. And don't get me wrong, I still dislike this character. I'm gonna go ahead and say his name, Creed. I still dislike his character, but this episode gives you another side to him, and I really like that. I really like when a series can make you feel sorry for someone that you truly dislike and hate. So that's what really stood out about this episode of X-Men 97. Now I won't argue with you guys. This season does have a problem, and that's that they're covering too much content in one episode with some of these stories that they're putting in from the original comics, and they tweaked a few little things that I'm not a real big fan of. One is Exodus. He was in this episode, and he's a Omega level mutant. Omega level mutant, and he fights another mutant, and this other mutant somewhat gets the best of him. And I know just because you're an Omega level mutant don't mean you're all powerful, but I just feel like the person he lost to in this episode isn't someone who should have beat him. In my opinion, I just got to be honest with you guys. But we have it where we get the intro, and I love this thing that they've been doing with X-Men since its return, where they changed the opening based on based who's in the episode. And in this episode, we get to see, they show the OGs, but in this episode, we get to see a person who wasn't in the past few episodes. And you got her right here, Polaris. She's in the intro now, and she's part of the team. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm starting to rock with her character more and more. Like I said, I always thought she was pretty cool in that Gifted series, but man, I really like her in this episode. Man, she's doing the damn thing. I'm sorry, maybe it's just me, but I'm grown to liking her, and I want to see more of her on the actual squad of the X-Men, of the X-Men team. And I hope they have her in season 3 and so on and so on. I'm really just rocking with it. I don't know what it is about her that makes, like, she seems like a better version of Rogue, if you ask me. I don't know what it is. Something about her I'm really liking, I'm really rocking with. And like I said, I like the fact that they changed the intro for every episode, showcasing the characters that's in it, and just, man, her design, the green hair, the glow. I don't know what it is, man. It really go hard. It just really goes hard, man. But we have it in this episode where Exodus and his group, they actually go and kidnap Creed. Creed is running for president, and we get this little flashback right here of the episode. And this is the flashback of the battle where Gambit died, but we actually get to see, from a different perspective. We get to see it from Colossus' perspective, and we get to see his sister Magic, which was a pleasant surprise. Wasn't expecting to see that, but you have it where, as you see on the screen right here, you got Colossus and Magic right here, and you have it where she's getting people to safety. With her portals, using her portals to get people to safety. And then you have the situation where she actually loses her life. You have it where she pulls out her sword. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Other than her making portals and being able to jump in it, I know that from like the games and stuff. I'm not really sure about what her power is. And I know she was in a movie that came out not too long ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, which was, from what I heard, it was a pretty good movie. I just never got around to watching it. But, it didn't do that well in the box office. So, they didn't make a part 2. I know she was in that movie as well. But I'm not really familiar with her powers outside of her having this sword and portals. But I heard she's a really strong character. But we have in this episode where she actually gets wiped out right in front of, her brother, Eyes, Colossus. And that's enough to make anybody go crazy. But we have it where Colossus actually joined the Acolytes, which is ran by Exodus, and they go and kidnap Creed right here, who's running for president. Now, Creed has been acquitted for all his charges, all the bad stuff that he's done towards mutants, and you have it where people are actually cheering for him. They want him to actually win that role and become the president. They're tired of Kelly, who's trying to work alongside mutants, and that's one thing I've always loved about X-Men. Like, the story is really deep. When you look at the story of X-Men, I don't look at it as a story that's for kids, because like watching it as a kid, there was certain stuff I was able to notice, But for the most part, I was just enjoying, just watching battles and stuff like that. But looking at it as an adult, it's just like, yo, damn, this series just really gives you so much. Like, yo, like it's really like Stan Lee just did a great job when it comes to the X-Men. It's like the real world, but he used mutants and regular humans to, oppose, with racism as opposed to what it is in the real world. And I don't know, I just really found it to be pretty dope. How X Men does that. Why that's probably why it's a lot of people's favorite series when it comes to uh, comic book groups. A lot of people's favorite group team. But we have it where they take, Creed to the island, and they're going to execute him unless all the people that X Factor captured are freed. And we have it where a team assembles to go after, after, Creed and try to save him. We have it where the brother of Creed, which is Nightcrawler, the sister, which is Rogue, and then you also got Beast, you got Polaris going, and you also got damn, what's the Cable going? Not Cable, Bishop going. I don't know why. I'm just not a real Bishop fan, but he did have a nice moment in this episode. But you have it where they get to the Savage Land, their powers aren't working. Because the tower is activated. Remember, Sinister had a tower that kind of took away the powers of mutants. Remember, Charles and Magneto was stuck on this land before, and that's why Charles was able to walk because his powers wasn't working. But we have it where Nightcrawler sees his brother, and he was like, "Yo, allow us to do a trial to prove." My brother's innocence, and if we can do a trial and we can convince you to spare his life, y'all let him go. If not, I will join your cause, and then it'll make your group look even better to see the X-Men join your cause. And so they agree. Exodus and them agree to the trial. You have it where Colossus is the judge, and you have it where Nightcrawler says some stuff that actually was crazy. Like he kind of does a great job as a lawyer, and he like asks Creed questions that I wasn't expecting to happen. And you find out that Creed, his mom was Mystique. We all know his father was Sabretooth, and he was abandoned by Mystique and raised with Sabretooth till he was about the age of 13, 14. And you had it where Sabretooth, was a rough father. You know what I'm saying? It was a pretty rough father. And he had it where, he was waiting for his powers to activate at the age of 13 so that he can be just like his father, the person he looked up to the most. But when he turned 13, he didn't have any powers. No powers activated, and because of that, Sabretooth abandoned him. And that's what kind of led to his hatred. The fact that his father and mother both abandoned him, and they both were mutants. So that's what really started this whole charade of him being against mutants and wanting them to be wiped out, taken out, all of that stuff. That all happened because his father, Sabretooth, walked away from him, and his mother, Mystique, abandoned him. So it was his way of getting revenge by trying to hate their whole kind, when the truth is he really just hates them. And you have it where, Nightcrawler pulls all that out of him. You have it where all the other mutants within the area are starting to realize, like, damn, it's not all his fault. He just had bad parents that happened to be mutants. Granted, he's not innocent. The shit he did it. He's not innocent. But you have it where Exodus sensed, because remember, he is a telepath. He sensed that, your boy Colossus was going to rule in Nightcrawler's favor. And that's when you have Exodus get upset and he starts fighting everybody. Of course, you have it where Bishop as well as Polaris was able to disable that tower and everyone powers return. And you actually had this great moment from Bishop, which, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Bishop, but I will say he did his thing in this episode, because since his powers went away, he had all this energy stored within him, and now that his powers is with him, he's able to release it, and you have it where he releases in a big blast. Now, I know in the comics, Bishop is powerful as hell, but for me, I don't know, I just never really been a big Bishop fan. Maybe it's the accent, I don't know. I don't know, he just isn't, cool to me. When it comes to characters from the futures, I always like the Cable more. I don't know, man. I don't know. But you have it where Exodus and Nightcrawler go into a battle, and that's when I feel like this should have been a battle that Exodus should have won, but he ends up losing. Don't get me wrong, this battle was pretty fun with all the teleporting, them going back and forth teleporting. Kind of gave me like Dragon Ball Z vibes with them flashing everywhere, but I just don't think, Nightcrawler would stand a chance against Exodus in the comics. And I could be wrong. Maybe Nightcrawler actually did beat him and get the best of him. If that's the case, remind me. But then we have this outcome where, Exodus gets beaten or, gets stopped by Nightcrawler. And then you have this moment where, Nightcrawler's asking him to yield. And then next thing you know, Creed actually takes a shot at Exodus and finish him off. I don't like the fact that he got taken out, but I mean, I get it for the sake of the story. He's one of those characters that wouldn't have stopped fighting no matter what. But you have this moment right here where he tells him to yield and he says he's protected by faith. And then next thing you know, he ends up getting shot. And you see the one who shot him, like I just said earlier, a moment ago, was Creed. And it was crazy. It was crazy. Next thing you know, Nightcrawler teleports him to somewhere, somewhere real cold, maybe North Pole, I'm not exactly sure, and left him there. Like, he spared his life, but at the same time put him in a situation where he may not survive. Now, the X Factor did eventually find him, and then we have the episode ending with, hold on now, go back now. You have the episode, I don't know why they always try to play X-Men after this, after that episode, but you have it where they show Cable and his team, and they come across Apocalypse body right here, like a corpse. Now that just means he has a new body, and he had to leave this host, this body, leave this body to rot away. That's usually what that means. But all in all, good episode. Really enjoyed it. Curious to hear y'all thoughts on it. Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace.